Hello and welcome to the channel. We're so glad you're here. In today's video, we're going to explore one of the most powerful and transformative teachings in Buddhism, the Four Noble Truths. Whether you're new to Buddhism or have been practicing for a while, this video will provide you with deep insights into the nature of suffering and the path to inner peace. The Four Noble Truths are the foundation of Buddhist teachings, and they offer us a clear path to understanding life and overcoming the challenges we face every day. By the end of this video, you'll have a better understanding of how these teachings can bring peace, wisdom, and clarity into your life. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into the heart of Buddhism together. Let's get started. The Four Noble Truths form the heart of Buddhist philosophy, offering profound insights into the nature of human existence and the path to liberation from suffering. These teachings are not just abstract concepts, they are practical guidelines for how we can approach the challenges of life, find peace, and ultimately achieve enlightenment. Buddhism, which has its roots in the teachings of Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, offers a path that is centered on understanding the truth of our suffering, its causes, and how we can overcome it. At the core of this path are the Four Noble Truths, which provide a clear and direct way of understanding why we suffer and how we can free ourselves from it. The first truth, often referred to as the truth of suffering, doesn't just describe the obvious pain and misery we encounter in life, but also the subtler dissatisfaction that pervades human experience. Even in our happiest moments, there's an underlying sense of impermanence and uncertainty. Life is full of ups and downs, and no matter how hard we try to hold on to the good, it slips away. This truth is about acknowledging that suffering, physical, emotional, and existential, is a natural part of existence, and it's something that cannot be ignored if we are to live a meaningful life. The second truth takes us a step deeper, explaining that the root cause of suffering is attachment and craving. We are constantly reaching for things, experiences, and people, hoping that they will bring us lasting happiness. But in doing so, we bind ourselves to the very things that cause our pain. This craving leads to cycles of dissatisfaction, because nothing in this world is permanent, and the more we cling to it, the more we inevitably suffer. By recognizing this, we gain insight into how our desires shape our reality and how they lead us further away from the peace we long for. The third truth presents us with a ray of hope. Suffering can end. The Buddha taught that it is possible to transcend the cycle of craving and suffering by letting go of our attachments and desires. Through a deep understanding of the impermanent nature of all things, we can free ourselves from the mental and emotional grasp that holds us in suffering. This truth reminds us that liberation is not only possible, but it is the ultimate goal of spiritual practice. Finally, the fourth truth lays out the path to end suffering, the Noble Eightfold Path. This path is a practical and holistic approach to living, a way of life that cultivates ethical conduct, mental discipline, and wisdom. It provides a framework for living mindfully, with compassion, and with wisdom, allowing us to break free from the cycle of suffering and attain nirvana. The Eightfold Path is not something that can be achieved overnight. It requires dedication, patience, and a deep commitment to personal transformation. Together, the Four Noble Truths offer a roadmap for understanding the human condition and the means to overcome it. They are not just teachings from an ancient tradition. They are timeless truths that have the power to transform our lives, guiding us to live with greater peace, clarity, and understanding. As we dive deeper into these teachings, we will explore each truth in more detail, uncovering the wisdom that can lead us to a life free from suffering and filled with lasting happiness. Section 1. The Truth of Suffering, Dukkha. The first of the Four Noble Truths is often seen as the most fundamental teaching in Buddhism. It is a clear-eyed acknowledgement of the undeniable reality that suffering, or dukkha, is an inherent part of human existence. At first glance, This may seem like a pessimistic view of life, but in reality, it is a profound insight that leads to liberation. Suffering, in the Buddhist sense, goes beyond just physical pain. It encompasses all forms of dissatisfaction, discomfort, and impermanence that we encounter in life. From the daily struggles of navigating relationships to the existential anxiety of facing mortality, dukkha is something that touches every aspect of our lives. Buddhism does not shy away from the difficult aspects of life, nor does it offer simplistic solutions to avoid suffering. Instead, it invites us to deeply reflect on the fact that nothing in life is permanent. The experiences that bring us joy are fleeting, and the things we strive to hold on to will eventually slip away. Even in moments of happiness, there is often an underlying sense of impermanence. This is not to say that life is devoid of beauty or joy, but rather that the recognition of life's transience helps us develop a deeper appreciation for the present moment and releases us from our attachment to outcomes. Furthermore, the Buddha's teaching on suffering includes the fact that our desire for things to remain unchanged is itself a cause of suffering. We may crave security, stability, and permanence, but these desires are futile because everything in life is in a constant state of flux. By recognizing and accepting this reality, we can begin to release our attachment to the idea of permanence, allowing us to live more freely and with greater peace of mind. Section 2. The truth of the cause of suffering, samudaya. The second noble truth goes beyond simply acknowledging the reality of suffering. It seeks to uncover its root causes. According to the Buddha, the primary cause of suffering is tanha, which is often translated as craving or desire. However, this craving is not just for material things, but extends to all forms of attachment, whether it's attachment to relationships, success, approval, or even our own identities. In essence, craving is our desire to hold on to things that are inherently impermanent, believing that they will provide lasting happiness and fulfillment. Craving stems from ignorance, or avijja, which is the lack of understanding about the true nature of reality. We mistakenly believe that the things we desire can provide us with lasting satisfaction. We seek pleasure, comfort, and security, and avoid pain and discomfort. However, because everything is impermanent, our attachment to these desires only sets us up for disappointment. When the things we crave eventually change, fade, or disappear, we are left with a sense of emptiness and dissatisfaction. This is the cycle of craving that leads to suffering. The Buddha's teaching on the cause of suffering invites us to look closely at our desires and attachments. When we become aware of how our cravings shape our experiences, we can begin to break free from the cycle of suffering. This awareness requires a shift in perception, a realization that true happiness does not come from external circumstances or possessions, but from within. The key to ending suffering, then, is not about eliminating desire altogether, but about transforming our relationship to it. By cultivating a deeper understanding of impermanence and embracing the present moment, we can reduce our attachment to things and find lasting peace. Understanding the cause of suffering is not about assigning blame or feeling guilty. Rather, it is about gaining insight into how our minds work and how our desires affect our well-being. Once we recognize the role that craving plays in our suffering, we can begin to take steps toward healing and liberation. Section 3. The truth of the cessation of suffering, nirodha. The third of the four noble truths offers a profound and hopeful message. Suffering can be brought to an end. This is known as nirodha, or the cessation of suffering. In a world where we often feel trapped by our desires and attachments, this truth reminds us that liberation is not only possible, but it is the ultimate goal of spiritual practice. The cessation of suffering is not just a temporary reprieve from pain, but a complete ending to the cycle of craving, dissatisfaction, and rebirth. The Buddha taught that when we eliminate the root causes of suffering, craving, and attachment, we can experience a state of liberation called nirvana. Nirvana is often misunderstood as a place or afterlife, but in truth, it is a state of being free from all suffering, desire, and ignorance. It is a state of perfect peace and profound wisdom, where the individual is no longer bound by the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, samsara. Nirvana represents the ultimate freedom from the things that cause us pain, our attachments, our ignorance, and our clinging to the impermanent. Achieving the cessation of suffering does not mean that we no longer experience pain or difficulty. Rather, it means that we no longer respond to these challenges with craving or aversion. When we are free from attachment, we are no longer disturbed by the inevitable changes and losses that life brings. We become capable of facing all aspects of life, whether pleasant or unpleasant, with equanimity. The end of suffering is not about escaping life's difficulties, but about transforming our relationship with them. By realizing the impermanent nature of all things, we can face life with a calm, clear, and balanced mind. This truth also invites us to cultivate the wisdom and awareness necessary to transform our lives. It shows us that by understanding the true nature of existence and by letting go of our desires, we can experience a deep sense of peace that is independent of external conditions. The cessation of suffering is the freedom we experience when we no longer identify with our cravings or fears and instead live in harmony with the flow of life. Section 4. The Truth of the Path Leading to the Cessation of Suffering, Magga. The fourth and final noble truth is about the path that leads to the cessation of suffering, the Noble Eightfold Path. This path is a practical guide to ethical living, mental discipline, and wisdom. It is the way to overcome suffering and achieve the liberation that the Buddha promised. Unlike many spiritual paths that emphasize belief or devotion alone, the Noble Eightfold Path is a holistic approach that involves right action, right thought, and right mindfulness in every aspect of our lives. The Eightfold Path consists of 8 interrelated principles, each of which serves to cultivate wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline. These principles are right understanding. This is the understanding of the Four Noble Truths, the nature of suffering, and the path to its cessation. It involves seeing the world as it truly is, impermanent, interconnected, and conditioned by our desires and attachments. Right thought. This refers to cultivating thoughts of compassion, kindness, and non-attachment. It involves developing a mindset that is free from ill will, hatred, and desire, and instead focused on love, compassion, and wisdom. Right speech. Right speech means speaking truthfully, kindly, and without causing harm to others. It involves refraining from lying, gossiping, or speaking with malice, and instead choosing words that promote harmony and understanding. Right action. This involves acting in ways that are ethical, compassionate, and non-harming. It means refraining from actions that cause suffering, such as killing, stealing, or engaging in harmful behaviors, while instead cultivating actions that benefit others and promote peace. Right livelihood. Right livelihood involves choosing a profession or occupation that is ethical and does not cause harm to others. It means living in a way that is in harmony with the values of compassion, honesty, and kindness. Right effort. Right effort refers to the cultivation of positive qualities and the abandonment of negative ones. It involves diligently working to develop good habits and attitudes while letting go of unwholesome tendencies like anger, greed, and ignorance. Right mindfulness. This is the practice of being fully present and aware in the moment, cultivating a deep awareness of our thoughts, feelings, and actions. Right mindfulness helps us develop clarity and insight into the nature of reality, leading to greater peace and understanding. Right concentration. Right concentration involves developing deep states of meditation, samadhi, that help to calm the mind and develop profound insight into the nature of reality. It is the practice of focusing the mind on one point of concentration, such as the breath, in order to cultivate deep peace and clarity. The Noble Eightfold Path is not a linear journey, but a continuous practice that requires effort, patience, and commitment. It is a path of transformation, where every step leads us closer to the cessation of suffering. The path is meant to be practiced with mindfulness and compassion, and through it, we can gradually break free from the cycle of craving and suffering, ultimately achieving the peace and liberation that Buddhism teaches. The Four Noble Truths are the foundation of Buddhist practice, and the Noble Eightfold Path provides a clear and direct way to implement those teachings in our daily lives. By following this path, we can free ourselves from suffering, live in harmony with others, and ultimately experience the true peace that comes from understanding the impermanent nature of life. Conclusion. The Four Noble Truths offer a profound understanding of the human condition and provide a clear path to overcoming suffering. In a world often filled with pain, dissatisfaction, and impermanence, the Buddha's teachings are not just philosophical ideals. They are practical, transformative insights that guide us towards peace and liberation. The acknowledgement of suffering, dukkha, is the first step towards freedom, as it allows us to confront the reality of our existence without fear or denial. By recognizing that suffering is inherent in life, we begin to understand its causes and, more importantly, how we can transcend it. The cause of suffering, as the Buddha explained, lies in craving and attachment. We are constantly seeking fulfillment in external things, yet true happiness is elusive because all things are impermanent. By shifting our focus from craving to understanding, we can free ourselves from the cycle of desire and dissatisfaction. Through the cessation of suffering, nirodha, we discover that it is possible to achieve peace, an inner peace that arises from letting go of attachments and embracing the impermanent nature of life. The path to this peace is outlined in the Noble Eightfold Path. This path is not just a set of rules, it is a comprehensive approach to living a life rooted in wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline. Each step on the path brings us closer to the end of suffering and closer to realizing the ultimate goal of Buddhism, nirvana, a state of liberation and enlightenment. As we practice right understanding, right speech, right action, and the other elements of the path, we gradually transform our lives and our perceptions, moving away from the ignorance and attachment that keep us trapped in suffering. In the end, the Four Noble Truths do not merely offer a diagnosis of our condition, they provide a solution. They point us toward a way of living that is in harmony with the true nature of existence, a life that is free from the constant chase for pleasure and the avoidance of pain. By embracing these truths and walking the Eightfold Path, we are invited into a life of greater peace, compassion, and wisdom. Ultimately, the teachings of the Buddha are a call to awaken, to see the world and ourselves with clarity and compassion, and to live in a way that brings liberation not just for ourselves, but for all beings. The Four Noble Truths show us the way out of suffering, and by practicing them, we can transform our lives and experience the freedom that comes with understanding the impermanent and interconnected nature of all things.